What's going on, guys? Thank you for tuning into this episode of Twin Finance. My name is Dylan, and today I'm talking to you guys about life insurance and calculating whether you need it or not, or figuring it out. That is the better word, not calculating, guys. Figuring out if you need life insurance or not. So the first step to figuring out if you need life insurance is, well, you got to ask yourself, do I have any dependents? So does anyone rely on me to live? Do I have kids, or do I support anyone, whether it may be niece, nephew, or your family members, your mom, dad, whatever it may be? Does anyone rely on me and my income to live and support themselves, to support them, maintain their daily life? And if they do, and you don't have life insurance, well, you should definitely look into it. I don't really care how old you are. If someone's depending on you and you're their main source of life, or they depend on you heavily, then you should definitely look into it. The next thing you need to do is, but if you have dependents, so you may have dependents, but the next thing you need to do before getting a life insurance policy, you shouldn't just go and get one. But also, if you have a lot of assets, chances are you probably don't need life insurance. So if you have a lot of money that you have a lot of money in a portfolio and you can live off that portfolio adequately, and if you die, that's going to be able to fund your dependents for the rest of their lives. You don't need it at all. That's just an unnecessary expense. But if you have minimal assets, then if you have dependents and minimal assets, where if you die and you don't have enough assets to support them for the rest of their lives, then you definitely should look into it too. So if you have minimal assets, you should definitely look into it. But you got to ask yourself the assets question. Do I have dependents? Yes, I do, but do I have enough assets for them? And chances are you probably don't, because if you're a younger family, you might not have that amount of assets built up for your family in the future, right? So that's not a big deal, but then that's what life insurance is for. The next thing you need to do after you figure it out, if you have dependents or what your assets situation is like and your liabilities, I should also write in liabilities. Right underneath here, liabilities. Because once you figure out your assets and liabilities, you may have huge. Say you have dependents and you have a bunch of assets, but you also have a bunch of liabilities. You got to kind of figure out what your net is. So do your net assets. So take your assets and minus your liabilities. So if you have a large number in that, well, chances are you probably don't need life insurance. But if you have a very small number, or you even have more debt than your assets, you're gonna want to get life insurance. The next step after doing that, guys, though, is calculation. So let's just say I'll run you through a quick scenario of calculating, how much life insurance you need, or how much life insurance you should get. So let's say family of 4, 2 kids. Let's say the wife and the husband have a $200,000 mortgage. This is their first month payment, so they have $200,000 principal. That's what they paid for the home. $200,000 principal on the home, and so you're gonna start with that. And you're going to add up. You're also going to add in the debts. So let's say they have $40,000 in debt, or no, let's say $20,000 in debt. They have $20,000 in debt. But they have kids. They want to send their kids to school. Their 2 kids to university. They're smart kids. They want to send them to school. Let's say they're 10 right now. You want to send them to school in the future. Let's say that's going to cost you $100,000 for 2 kids. It might even be more than that, but I'm just using numbers, guys. So let's say it's $100,000, and then the next step you're going to want to do is you want to factor in, let's say this is for the husband, and let's say if he died, he wanted to leave the kids, mortgage free. He want to leave his wife mortgage free, debt free, and also send his kids to school. He wanted to have enough life insurance for that, but also what he's going to want to do is he's got to, let's say, typically when you calculate life insurance, you take your amount of income that you want to replace for at least 10 years, guys. So that's roughly that's a good amount of years to calculate in. So let's say that person let's say he makes $50,000 a year. Well, he's going to want to get at least $500,000 of income of life insurance to provide for his family, right? For the next 10 years, they're going to need to get that $50,000 if they want to maintain their own quality of life. The debts will be paid and whatnot, but that's typically what they do. But at the end of all that, so this is all the calculations, but let's say he has an investment portfolio of let's say $300,000, right? So then you're going to want to subtract $300,000 because that's an asset. So you're going to add all these up, but then you're going to subtract $300,000 because let's say his portfolio is $300,000, right? Well, since he already has $300,000, if he dies, that $300,000 is there for them. So you don't need to get that amount of coverage, because so you'd take that out. So that's his asset. So you just figure out the net of that. So in this case, it would be $520,000 of life insurance that he would want to get. That would be the amount of life insurance he'd want to accumulate. And let's say, you can do different types of policies. Like I'm not going to get huge into like what the different life insurance policies are in this video, but you can get permanent policies, you can get term policies, you can get different all types of policies, guys. There's a few different ones. I'm not going to get too much into that in this video, but yeah. So that's what in this case, that's what that person's going to do. $520,000. Let's say he wants it for 25 years. He's going to set that up to the insurance company. And then that's how it's going to go, and he's going to start paying monthly for that policy. One thing I want to bring up though in this video, that a lot of people, they probably don't think, like there are a lot of stay-at-home moms out there, and that's not to say they're incapable of working, but let's say they're stay-at-home mom, and they're probably like, what do I need to get life insurance for? I'm a stay-at-home mom, I don't make any money, I just really rely on the husband. But you got to think, like, if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you were to die, like, what value do you bring to that house? Like, you'd have to, if you died, they'd have to hire, probably daycare if you have young kids, someone to cook and clean and do whatnot. So whatever that may be. So let's say she adds to that house. Let's say that person may be paying $30,000 for all that to be done per year. Well, that's the value of that household. That stay-at-home wife or husband or whatever it may be. If she's bringing $30,000 of value to that house per year, well, for however many years you want to replace her income, until you feel that hey, I don't need someone to look after, because maybe I'll retire, so I'm retiring in 20 years, I need $30,000 for 20 years, which is $600,000. So you're going to want to figure that out too. That's the one thing that I think a lot of people probably leave that out. Like they just get life insurance on, let's say the dad, like let's say he works a lot, just get life insurance on him. He's the main proprietor. But even if you're a stay-at-home mom, it's always good to consider life insurance. You should also get it on yourself. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So if any of those things happen, so if you have dependents, you have minimal assets, and let's say you're a stay-at-home mom, and you bring a lot of value to the household that just isn't seen in the income numbers, but is seen other places, you should definitely consider life insurance. There definitely are other scenarios where you should consider life insurance. But yeah, guys, I think you should always have life insurance if you have a family, guys. That's really a must. Like, think about if you died, do you want your kids to be set up? Do you want your family to continue out their same sort of life? Like, yeah, death is a touchy subject, but you want to always make sure that if you go, your family's covered the right way. Thank you for watching this video. Remember to have a great day, guys, and enjoy everything and chase your dreams. Drop a comment in the section below, and have a great one.